Hello everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 and welcome to another edition of the Batwoman Season 2 review series, and today I am going to be talking about Episode 9, Raw #1, which I just finished watching earlier, and this episode saw the Arrowverse debut of Batman villain Black Mask, who is played by Peter Outerbridge, and for many of you who are familiar with that name, Black Mask is one of the main Batman villains in the comic books, and he's had a number of appearances in the media. He appeared in the Batman Arkham Origins video game, he has appeared in Batman Under the Red Hood animated movie, Batman Death in the Family interactive movie, and of course he has appeared in DCEU's Birds of Prey, who he was played by Ewan McGregor, and I thought Peter Outerbridge's performance in Batwoman was, for the most part, pretty okay, although the moments where he tried to be scary, I don't know really, fell a little bit flat for me. Maybe it was down to the writing, who knows, but I wouldn't necessarily say that was down to his performance because I thought he did a decent job, and I'm very interested to see what kind of role Black Mask is going to play in the second half of Batwoman Season 2. But, you know, we're off to a pretty decent start with him, and it looks like they're building up for him to be the main villain for Batwoman Season 2, because so far we already have two other heavy hitters involved in Batwoman Season 2. Alice, of course, has never gone away, and we've got Sapphire, so I'm very interested to see how they're going to tie all of this together. But it looks like, as far as what I've seen with this episode, it looks like they're building up Black Mask to be the main crime boss of Gotham City as far as the Arrowverse is concerned. But for the most part, I thought this episode was pretty good, and we saw at the end of episode 8, we learned that Kate Kane was declared dead by Julia Pennyworth, but the last shot we saw at the end was we saw someone shacked up in chains in a prison cell somewhere, and this person's face was completely covered up in bandages and was wearing Kate Kane's necklace. So it's possible that we may have seen Kate Kane is still alive but just completely burnt from possibly the plane crash. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to address that as we go forward. But for the most part, this episode was pretty good. We finally see Ryan Wilder is stepping up to the plate, so to speak, in the role of Batwoman, and now we've declared that Mary and Luke are now Team Batwoman. So we finally got these guys on the same page, even though Mary gave Ryan her blessing, but Luke was still a bit, I don't know really, I'm just waiting until Kate comes back, but it seems like he's finally given his blessing to Ryan Wilder taking up the mantle of Batwoman. But overall, this was a pretty good episode, and we see the False Face Society having a big part in this episode as well. So there was lots going on here, so I really enjoyed this one a lot. So with that all said, let's get right into it. Let's talk about Episode 9, Raw #1. So we start off this episode where we see Ryan is writing a diary entry to Kate Kane as she plants the desert rose in the Batcave in Kate's memory. Meanwhile, we see members of Kate's family and friends gather around to hold a funeral for her, and Black Mask holds Kate captive in his basement, revealing to her that her family has declared her dead. Interesting. We see 1 month later, Ryan and Mary are now living together as roommates, and Angelic shows up to try and reconcile with Ryan, saying that she doesn't want to deal in snake bites anymore. The GCPD and the False Face Society publicly fight each other, culminating in the Commissioner getting murdered. Roman Sinos, aka the Black Mask, appears on television to publicly condemn the killings, all the while the Crows and Team Batwoman begin to investigate. We see Team Batwoman realise that the CCTV footage was doctored and track down a witness who is vandalising the building at the same time. Jordan Moore, Sophie's sister. Jordan goes to Sophie for help, but they are both attacked by the False Face Society until Batwoman intervenes. Sophie tells Jordan that she can trust Batwoman, and she tells Batwoman what she saw at the scene, including that the gateway driver had the same bracelets as Angelic. Ryan confronts Angelic about it, and Angelic reveals that she was coerced into doing it and that she's too scared of Black Mask to speak publicly about it. Ryan tells Angelic that she knows Batwoman, but Angelic is still hesitant about testifying. Meanwhile, we see Sophie and Jordan go to the hold-up where Ryan talks to them. Jordan argues that Batwoman is no different to the police and the Crows, and reveals everything she personally does for activism in Gotham. Jordan then tries to set up Sophie and Ryan, but Sophie shuts it down straight away. Angelic agrees to eventually testify in exchange for her safety, and we see Batwoman shows up at Angelic's apartment. She finds it ransacked and she's been kidnapped by Black Mask. See, I kind of like what they're doing with Black Mask. So by day he's like this, this upstanding citizen who wants to do the right thing by Gotham. Then he puts on the mask and he's this evil crime boss. So I kind of like what they're doing with Black Mask at the moment. Batwoman arrives and fights various members of the False-Face Society, but gets knocked out and strapped to a saw and is nearly killed. As Black Mask reveals his daughter was killed by the original Batwoman. It's an interesting twist. And he's only begun donning the mask and forming the False-Face Society after Gotham failed him. Now, this is kind of an interesting twist because most of the versions of Black Mask I remember, he was just like this evil crime boss that just wanted control of the criminal underworld. Kind of similar to the Kingpin, but he was a bit more violent and darker. So to flesh his character out a bit in the Arrowverse, and having revealed that his daughter was killed by the original Batwoman, is an interesting twist. So that gives him kind of a little bit of a reason to have beef with Batwoman, but still doesn't make it right. But I think for the story purposes, I think that's quite an interesting twist. Sophie arrives and rescues Ryan, who then rescues Angelic and tells Sophie that they're going to work together to protect her. Angelic writes a confession lying that she killed the Commissioner, thus taking the fall, which Sophie initially doesn't understand. Angelic has Sophie give Ryan her bracelet and tells her that Black Mask had threatened to kill Ryan if she didn't take the fall. Both Sophie and Jordan bond over how upset they are that the system is not protecting Angelic more. Ryan tells Mary and Luke that she's setting a series of rules for the Bat Team, which focuses on mainly support, accountability and legacy. Ryan vows to not only take down the False-Face Society but help Jordan with her community centre. Meanwhile, Alice lays low in Cartwright's basement where she becomes haunted by visions of a younger Kate. Now this was a good scene, because when I saw this, I thought maybe the younger Kate was from another Earth, but it was all in Alice's head, and Rachel Scarsden just knocked this out of the park once again, and so far she's been probably my favourite person that I enjoy watching the most in Batwoman, so that was really good. I really enjoyed that scene a lot. As a younger Kate explains, Alice is having a psychotic break to deal with her grief about Kate dying. Alice decides to imagine a world where Kate never existed. Jacob refuses to come to work and also refuses to believe that the plane's malfunction wasn't caused by one of Kate's enemies. Julia Pennyworth further investigates the plane crash, but the person she calls says she called months prior about the same thing. Black Mask visits Kate in her cell and reveals to him that the False-Face Society pulled Kate from the wreckage of the plane from National City, but in the process lost her face. Interesting. The woman turns out to be Enigma, who asks to be left alone with Kate and decides to brainwash her. And that's how episode 9 ends, and that ends my review for episode 9 as well. Overall, excellent episode. At least we learned a little bit more about what exactly happened to Kate Kane and why she's burned. So who knows, maybe Enigma brainwashing her might explain why Kate Kane is going to be a different person when we do eventually see her. But I thought this episode was very good. Lots going on here, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this is all going to play out in episode 10. So that's it from me. I am going to wrap this up now. What did you think of episode 9? Did you enjoy it? What's your thoughts on Black Mask holding Kate Kane in the cell? Do you think there might be some twist to it? How do you think the False-Face Society pulled Kate Kane out of the wreckage? Do you think we might see a flashback of that of sorts? And what kind of role do you think Enigma is going to play, and how do you think she's going to brainwash Kate Kane? And what's your thoughts on Luke, Mary and Ryan officially becoming Team Batwoman? Do you think they all stay on the same page? And do you think with the three of them working together, do you think they might be able to take down Black Mask? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Batwoman Season 2 review series, where I'll be talking about episode 10, which I am very much looking forward to talking about. So until next time, take care everybody, and stay safe, and once again, thanks for listening.